faith.
So every time the Mets come in, I think about you and think about giving you tickets. They always are in on Fridays and Saturdays.
Hey, come here.
Yeah, take anything, right?
Very sweet. Okay. Shabbat Shalom. I'll use the microphone for the folks who are on, for the millions in attendance online. The millions of minions. So we're on page 5. Shalom Aleichem.
Die, 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 na, 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 die. Ya, die, die, da, da, die. Da, 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 die. Lie, lie, da, da, die. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Nine, 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 nine. Lie, 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 die, 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 die. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malachei Shalom, malachei Elyon, mi melech malchei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malachei Shalom, malachei Elyon, mi melech malchei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, malachei Shalom, malachei Elyon, mi melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's a tune by Debbie Friedman. She actually changed the words of the last verse. I did the original. The original verse is...
How did she change it? What
Say Tzchem l'shalom, right? Go in peace, O you angels who have come here to, right, visit us or whatever. She says, Shuvchem l'shalom, right? Come on back, right? When you come back in peace.
It's the Lehitraot of Shalom Aleichem.
What?
It's the Lehitraot of Shalom Aleichem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. We're going to continue on page 11 with Lechuna Ranana.
Lechu neranena l'Adonai, nari aletzur ishenu, nekad mafana bitoda, bizmirod nari alo, nekad mafana bitoda, bizmirod nari alo. Ki el gadol Adonai umelech gadol al kol Elohim asher biyado mechkerei aretz v'toafot harim lo asher biyado mechkerei aretz v'toafot harim lo.
Right by that little arrow on page 12.
Arba'im shana akut bedor va'omaram to'e levavim vehem lo yadu derachai asher nishbati be'api im yevo'un El menuchati.
Page 13. And as I see the Saul Zim reference, I'm reminded that you owe me a spreadsheet.
I sent.
Oh, you sent it to him?
What?
The spreadsheet?
I sent stuff to Rabbi J.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So Saul Zim is a famous Jewish composer, and Rabbi J is going to do high holiday services with him this year. And so the cantor was just sending them a spreadsheet. And when I saw his name on the outline, I got nervous that we didn't. Thank you for doing that.
No.
We are going to continue on page 13. This is a Saul Zim
Tune.
Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai,
Baruchu Shemo, Basru miyom liyom Yeshuato, Sapru vagoyim kivodo, Bechol ha'amim nifleotav, Ki gadol Adonai umulal me'od, Nora'u al kol Elohim. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, Basru miyom leyom Yeshuato, Ki kol Elohe ha'amim elilim, V'Adonai shamayim asa, Hod v'hadar לפניו, עוז ותפארת במקדשו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מהיום ליום ישועתו. הבו לנו משפחות עמים, הבו לנו כבוד לנו.
And we continue on page.
לפני אדוני קיווה, קיווה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים באמונתו.
Page 15.
אדוני מלך תגל הארץ, ישמחו עם רבים, ענן וערפל סביבם צדק ומשפט נכון. 4 lines from the bottom of 16. Or zaru ala tzadik, ule yishre lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik, ule yishre lev simcha. Simchu tzadikim badonai, vehodu lezecher kodsho. Simchu tzadikim badonai, vehodu lezecher kodsho. Alai, 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 yana, nai, 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 nai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, dai, 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 dai.
We're going to continue with Lecha Dodi on page 23.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el המייוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. לך, לך, דודי, דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בידי תפארתך עמי, על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי, קרבה אל נפשי גאלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לא, לא, לא תבושי ולא, ולא, ולא תקלמי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי. בך, בך, בך יחסו אני ימי, ונבנתה עיר על תהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. והיו למשיסה שוסייך ורחקו כל מבלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כי משוש חתן על כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת אדוני תעריצי, על יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
If everyone could remain standing just for a second, because we're going to call on all of you, the thousands that are present. That's right. Woo. But we're going to have everyone join us at the candles in just a moment to light the Shabbat candles. But before that, page 27, Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות, להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב להודות, להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. עלי אסרב ילנה ועלי
And right by the arrow on page 29.
Tzaddik Tamar
28.
Yifrach Keyeres Bavanon Yiske Shetulim Beveit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvon Beseva Deshenim Verananim Yiyu Lehagid Ki Ashar Adonai Tzuri Velo Avlata Bo.
So we're going to ask everyone to make a circle around the candles. Thousands of people. Okay. And what I want everyone to do is, as we're lighting the candle, think of a highlight for this week, and we're going to pass around the microphone. And just in a brief, not to the thousands of people, but just the 12 people who we selected. And we're going to share it's been a difficult week. As we watch the turn of events in Israel and as the brave soldiers of the IDF engage a rightful quest to stamp out terror. And our thoughts and prayers are with them. And the complexity of the political situation and the complexity of the world is something that we all notice, and it's our hope that this small measure of Shabbat can bring a little relief to all of the Jewish souls around the world. So we're going to pass around the microphone. Would anyone like to go first with just a very quick, brief highlight?
So the highlight of my week was last Sunday night. We went to our family's home in Calabasas and celebrated this wonderful woman's birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, and that was fantastic to be with family for my birthday.
Wednesday afternoon and evening, I got to spend with my grandson, Finn. We went swimming, and I learned how much it was reinforced how much he really listens and can communicate, and I even understand a lot of what he says at the age of 19 months.
And my daughter told us they were going to services tonight. They belong to a conservative synagogue in San Diego. And Hannah, the old 7-year-old, is all excited because she's going to help lead the service. So I am so belly.
Why aren't you there? I got to teach science to kindergartners and first graders this week.
I suppose, despite the awfulness outside, peace in the house. Shalom abayit.
My grandsons turned 7 on Wednesday, and they're just the love of my life.
I got together with some guys from the class of '84 Heschel Day School.
I finished my first year of college. I did too, almost. I have one more paper, but we're getting there. Yeah, and my sister, I got to see her do her thesis presentation this week, which was really amazing. So yeah. Clara, a lot of you know her.
I played a football catch in the backyard with my kids.
I had a great interaction with a bunch of old guys at the local Starbucks in the morning, and I brought up some rather thought-provoking ideas for a group who otherwise said they wouldn't have thought of most of them. So it just felt good to get, stirring up in a good way, stirring up the pot in a good way,
David, you have something you want to say? That was a highlight of your week, David. Sure, just by the announcements. Relaxing here and there. Okay. So we hope that we can take the measures of goodness that we feel in our lives and hold on to those just like we hold on to the light of the Shabbat candles as a source of comfort and a source of blessing in an otherwise difficult week. Shabbat Shalom. All right, back to your seats. Don't fill up all the pews. Just be mindful of, that's right, we don't have any pews. And actually, but remain standing for the Baruch Hu on page 39.
Lie, 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 nine, 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 lie, lie, die, 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 lie, 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 lie. Bye. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הרבים. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, והיה אם שמוע תשמעו מצוותי אשר לכם מצוותך. משמיים על הארץ, ויאמר אדוני משה תזכרו עשיתם לכם מצוותיי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת ואמונה כל זאת בקיים עלינו כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו.
Page 43. Page now 44.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לכהנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה. זה אלי אנו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. זה אלי אנו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פוד אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
אמן.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשם עלינו.
Towards the bottom of 45.
ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Baruch atah Adonai, Haporei Sukkot Shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, Haporei Sukkot Shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al, ve'al, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Please rise, Vishamru, page 46.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam, oti leolam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim Asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat v'yinafash Shavat v'yinafash bayom hashvi'i v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yalmad yivra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kariv ve'imeru amen Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'li'omei omaya Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitale, V'yithalal, Shemei de'kudesha, Brichu le'ela, Min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran bi'olama ve'imeru. Amen.
The Amidah can be found beginning on the next page, page 47. Use the next few moments for a time for your own personal prayers.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו, אמרו, אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו, אמרו, אמן. Yammarai lai 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 na 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 yana lai 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 yana lai 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 yammarai lai 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 hai lai 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 yana lai 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 yana lai 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 yoseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו, אמרו, אמן. יתקנה ויקרא שמי רבה, ביומא דברה כאילו תביאים לכמלכותי בחיי חונה וימי וחי תוכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם וליומי יומיה יתברך, יתברך, וישתבח ויפור ויתרומה מן עשה ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי לקודשה, בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בימה ויאמרו, אמן. תתקבל צלותון ובאותון דכל ישראל, קודם אבוהן דבישמיא ויאמרו, אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו, אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ויאמרו, אמן.
So Shabbat Shalom. I just thought I would bring a little something that made me think about what's going on in the world and what our response should be from this week's Torah portion. And I want to begin by asking you your interpretation of what could be construed as a cryptic text, right? One that seems to not be at least altogether too obvious, right? And so here's the text. Lo telech Rachel ba'amecha. So don't slander amongst the people, okay? So this is Parshat Kedoshim. It's talking about ways of being holy. So the first thing is rechilut. Don't gossip. Okay, that's straight for, oh, I know, we go, whoo, right? It's one that it's sort of straightforward, but yet is one that very difficult, right? And sometimes it's what would think are the easiest are the hardest, right? So, lo telech rachil ba'amecha. Don't commit gossip. But the second part of the pasuk is the one that I want to concentrate on. It says, lo ta'amod al dam re'echa ani Adonai. So it says, don't stand upon the blood of your neighbor. I am God. So it's the lo ta'amod al dam re'echa that I want to kind of highlight, which is Don't stand on the blood of your neighbor. What does that mean? I mean, you'd think, like in a verse, that it was so simple. Don't commit gossip. Why doesn't the Torah keep with that tone? Why all of a sudden, from what is evident to what is cryptic? Don't commit gossip, but then lo tamod al dam re'echa, don't stand on the blood of your neighbor. Why isn't the Torah more clear? Or what does it mean? What is the Torah even suggesting? So any thoughts? I always like hearing what people think, especially those who don't have a rabbinic background, because it's interesting to think like where you naturally go with it. So what would you say, Rosalie? Good. Oh, so you see the two is connected. Very nice. Good. Okay, never thought of it like that. Oh, good. Okay, let's get to that. Excellent. Boy, you guys are much better readers of the text than I am, because I went straight to Rashi and, you know what? No, but you know what? Sometimes it's better just to read, like we encourage people to read with the rabbinic lens, but sometimes that is constricting. Oh, that's a really interesting way of reading, of don't derive any benefit or like any lifting up, lo ta'amod, like don't lift on the blood of someone else. In other words, don't use someone else's downfall, their blood, as a way of raising yourself up. That's a really interesting reading. I never thought of that. So far, all of you have much more interesting and creative ways of reading the text than I did. I didn't have much at all. I was like, I didn't have much to say. And I actually think some of your readings are more interesting than what Rashi ultimately says. And Rashi is taking from the Talmud. So that's often what Rashi will do, is Rashi serves as a bridge between the Torah text and our rabbinic interpretations of it. So either through a link to the Midrash or in this case the Talmud. And this is what Rashi says. Did anyone else want to go before I spill what Rashi said? Jack, did you have your hands up? That's right. I'm all about Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude, Schuldenfrei. Yeah. Yeah. Like like don't dance on someone's grave is another way of thinking about it. Okay, good. Okay, anyone else? Don't cause your neighbor blood. Good. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, gossip will tear you apart. Yeah. Great. These are great readings. So this is what Rashi says. So Rashi says, Lo tamod al dam re'echa. Don't stand on the blood of your neighbor. Li'arot b'mitato. So you see him in his death, like you're witnessing his death. So you are witnessing a fellow's destruction. Ve'ata yachol lahatzilo, and you're able to save him. Kagon. So Rashi says, I'm going to give you some examples here. And you're reading it more creatively than the Talmud. Tovea banahar, like he's drowning in the river. V'chaya o listim ba'im alav, or an animal or marauders are coming to get him. So in other words, Rashi, and Rashi's he's actually quoting directly from the Talmud. He says, this is literal, that you see someone in existential peril. You see someone, let me give you an example, someone drowning in the river, right? Or you see someone who's being accosted by robbers or being attacked by an animal. You have an obligation to save them. So if you think about that, that's actually different than our Western notion. Our Western notion is, if you the Western philosophy or the Western mindset puts an emphasis on the right of the individual, the liberty of the individual. So in the Western society, you can help if you want to. It's that famous case that many of you are familiar with, Kitty Genovese, right? And you remember that the case with in Queens when all those people witnessed her being, it turns out it wasn't exactly true, but that all these people witnessed her being brutally murdered and nobody did a thing about it. And there is no compulsion in Western law to act. You can become involved, but you're not mandated to become involved, and that is in contradiction to Judaism, where in Judaism, no. Yeah, lo tamod al dam re'echa. Like you see something going down, you cannot ignore it. Mm-hmm. Right. 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 So actually, the text grows in how it's read more expansively to include when you see someone in distress, not necessarily only an existential threat like their blood is being spilled, literally, or they're being attacked by an animal or accosted by criminals, but if you see something bad, you can't stand by. And I thought about that in relation to what's going on, that while we here certainly, and having students from college know that there are certainly challenges, we also know that lo tamod al dam re'echa, that we can't stand on our fellow's blood, that we need to be proactive in offering support to those who are facing anti-Semitism on campus, as well as our brothers and sisters in Israel. And it's not a choice, it's an obligation. We have an obligation. Yes. Yeah, so Rosalie was asking about the counter-protests at UCLA. Not all of the counter-protests, but someone who went, the violence that erupted, that is wrong. That is wrong, right? There is an appropriate way when we are saying that we won't stand idly by watching our neighbor's blood. The course of action is important, right? We don't give up. We shouldn't behave like heathens, right? The way to advocate for our people is not by throwing firecrackers into a mob of naive and idiotic kids. It's not the way to do it. Even agitators, even people who know what from the river to the sea means, that's not an appropriate response. Do we have the obligation to act? We do. Do we have the obligation, like several members of, now I'm going political, but that's all right. Do we have the obligation to act, like certain Democrats did, members of the Democratic delegation in Congress, to act? Yes, they did. And they voiced objections over the president's statements from the other night. How we handle ourselves is probably even more important than that we handle ourselves, because the world is watching. And also, we're not going to surrender our morality, right? Just because we have an obligation to act doesn't mean that we have carte blanche to act. Tough times we live in, but let's remember, lo tamod al dam re'echa, that we have an obligation to stand with students who don't understand what's going on amongst themselves in college, and we have an obligation to stand with our brothers and sisters in Israel. Yeah, that's interesting. No one is. Yeah, you still have the nets that you could easily. This is without me understanding it. Yes, you can by extension say that you have an obligation to help. Now, having worked in addiction, sometimes you can only help someone who's ready to be helped, but you have to be ready to help. You can't. I mean, that's why Al-Anon was invented. You can't be an enabler. And sometimes that's very complicated, obviously. And, you know, my expertise ends very close to the beginning of that discussion. But we have an obligation to not stand on the blood of our fellows, whether that's raising ourselves up or witnessing it. Okay. Shabbat Shalom. We'll ask everyone to please rise for the, why don't we all come together again? Let's all, we're going to stand for the rest of the service
Hang on. Can you help my voice work?
Yes, I will not stand on your...
on my vocal cords. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon Inchilanu zikaron lemase vereshit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher litziat b'Yitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta Mikol amim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
We are still in the midst of the 17th day of the Omer. And this evening, when the sun has set and you look into the sky and the new day is upon us, you should count the number that comes after 17. But I can't say that because then we would have counted that number and then we would have counted the number before the number is Chas v'Chalila. That's right, exactly. And you could not stand by for me to commit such an avera.
But I was thinking about the, high point of my week when I was babysitting my grandson. We counted the Omer. So I started off with Baruch Atah, and he immediately went. Because, first of all, he knows to do this for Shema, but for the Shabbos candles, they go, He hears Baruch Atah,
When I go Baruch Atah, my kids do that. It means, oh, I'm going on, and they're ready for dinner to start. it's right? Yeah, we'll continue with Aleinu on whatever the next page, 56.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, latet kedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot, Velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem vegor aleinu kechol amonam va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Noteh Shamayim v'Yosed Haaretz, U'moshav Yikaro b'Shamayim mima'al, U'Shchinatu Zo, U'Shchinatu Zo, B'Govhei Meromim, Eloheinu Einod, Emet Malkeinu Efes Ulato, Kakatu B'Torato, V'yadata Yom, Ve'ashevota elevavecha, Ki Adonai hu Elohim, B'shamayim ima'al, V'ala aretz, Mitachat enod, Al Kein Kabbalat Shabbat. Kakatu b'Toratecha Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol haaretz, Bayom ahu yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo
This week, we as a community continue to mark the Shloshim, the 30 days since the passing of Maria Blumberg, Sandra Zaki, Elias Berkman, Herb Moore, and Freund Retter. And on this coming week, we'll observe the Yurtzeits of Ivan Ezel, Herbert Ginsburg, Goldie Kadish, Selma Perelstein, Ida Bavakwa, Dina Kahan, Victor Spitz, Irene Sunderland, Marianne Well, Bernice Alchel, Belle Bregman, Itzhak Eli, Saul Herstick, Ethel Simon, Estelle Laufey, Louis Morantz, Mildred Rosenzweig, Edith Shavelson, Nellie Gelberg, Sylvia Gordon, Bob Raymond, Dr. Herbert Reingold, Aileen Sachs, Dr. Jonathan Aronoff, Steve Asher, David Famillion, Kiva Friedman, Jenny Growler, Marcia Katz, Paul Creamer, Henry Lauterbach, L. Jews Levitan, Michael Matza, Stuart Melzer, Phyllis Burnell, Sylvia Ellis, Anella Feldstein, Cecilia Harris, Ralph Lefkowitz, Earl Morris, and Samuel Nathanson. Is anyone else observing a Yurtzeit for someone I neglected to mention? Faisal. We'd like to ask those of you who are in mourning or observing a Yurtzeit to please join us on page 58 for Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah bi'alma divra kirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah muvarach le'olam olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisha brichu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. And may all of our loved ones be remembered for blessing. And let us all say amen. We want to thank David Kaminer for accompanying the Bravo, the magnificent cantor as well. And just in terms of that idea of lending support, a few things. I don't know if you guys know, but on May 28th, I we're having Dr. Morton Shapiro, who is the president emeritus of Northwestern University, coming to speak about concerns about the college campus. And we are also, this coming Monday evening, we're having a very special and important Yom HaZikaron, Yom HaAtzmaut presentation of Giborim, which will be, will, yeah, you can go online and buy tickets. Yeah, and yeah, and so yeah, so we hope that you'll come for that. And then after that, I think in the first week of June, reading with the rabbi, we're reading. I'll be presenting Benny Morris's book 1948, which talks about obviously the first Arab-Israeli war, also the birth of the Palestinian refugee issue, and we can look at that and gain a deeper understanding of what's going on in the Middle East. Okay, with that, yeah, let's end the service. Let's conclude with Hatikva, and we want to thank everyone for coming.
Kol od ba'leva penima, nefesh Yehudi yomia, ulefate mizrach kadima, she's just gonna have to, she's just gonna have to meet with you and, you know, basically, here's the thing. She'll start singing. You'll find her. That's it. You know, you do it like. With the bar mitzvah kid. Exactly. The bar mitzvah kid that week, he's like, every time I meet him, his voice is. Yeah. Okay, Shabbat Shalom.